Hi gang, Rob here. It is the afternoon of 1 April 2017. Coming to you with a From the Sharpening Bench video today on a knife I've kind of been waiting to see one of for a few months now. This is the Cold Steel GoldenEye. Yes, leave it to Lynn Thompson to come up with hokey names for folding knives. Not only is the name hokey, but what do you think of this thing, boys and girls? Well, is it an efficient and attractive opening device, or is it a tacky semi-rip-off of a Spyderco round hole opener? I'm not sure. And how about this? What if we plate our pocket clip yellow to continue the GoldenEye theme? Only Cold Steel would dare do this. Sometimes they're so tacky you have to love them, and that's kind of where I put the GoldenEye. So what is this GoldenEye? Well, underneath it's questionable it's questionable branding and marketing. We have a pretty cool modern folder, actually. Here's what we got. We have sort of a swedged drop point blade with a pretty large flat and a nice hollow ground blade. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Code 4 spear blade, I guess. The steel, I think something new for Cold Steel. This one is in CPM S35VN. Apparently pretty well heat treated from how it behaved at the sharpening bench. It comes to a pretty thin dimension behind the edge. I sharpened this at 16 degrees per side with a little kiss of a 19-degree micro bevel, and it came out pretty sharp. As you can see, a little old school phone book paper here. Like silent deadliness going through that. Really, really nice. You guys ever had phone book paper that has a grain to it? This phone book paper seems to. Kind of weird. Anyway, it takes a very keen edge. I did notice, and this has become sort of typical with Cold Steel sharpening, when you look at them out of box, it'll appear that the bevels are very even side to side. But what I've noticed is a lot of times they're not very symmetrical at all. Over here on the right side of the blade, the first side that I did, my bevel almost matched the factory angle. So it was very close to 16 degrees on that side. When I flipped it over to the left side, much more obtuse. So then I had some evening up to do to make the height the same on both sides. I mean, it was probably 16 on this side and 21 on this side, so it's about 37 inclusive. Not super obtuse, but just, when you're freehand sharpening and you switch hands on the belt sander, that can happen. What do you guys think about that blade? I don't know. I'm just having a hard time getting used to this. It is the HTR, which is way different than a Spidey hole. The HTR is the hollow thumb ramp. Hollow thumb ramp. So what do we mean by that? Well, if you look at it, it's hard to get. There you go. From that perspective, you can see that it is a ramp. It is a one-piece, apparently brass machined insert that is keyed with that little slot and a corresponding tooth in the blade. And then it's held in, and this is, I'm going to have to hit this knife pretty hard for this feature. This is an Allen screw. I believe it's an Allen screw. If it's a Torx, it's smaller than a T3, and I don't have an Allen wrench that small. Maybe you guys do. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what it is. Super, super tiny. It'd be really nice if that were an actual accessible screw with tools we commonly have. You know, maybe like a T6 Torx, so we could take that set screw loose and slide that hollow thumb ramp out and use the flats to sharpen. As it is, I have to sort of do that angle correcting, locating on the hollow grind move. So yeah. While we're talking about the HTR, how does it actually work? Well, if we use it as a sweep opener, it really works and feels a lot like a spidey hole. I mean, you feel the texture of the terraces in that ramp, but they don't really impede your thumb at all. You feel them grab your skin a little bit, but no big deal. If we're going to a flick deployment, which frankly I'm having a little hard time getting used to. I actually almost need a little wrist. And it's not because the spring is too tight or the mechanism isn't free, because it is. Action very similar to a Code 4. But my thumb does not work and play well as in that flick motion unless I get way far forward and just sort of grab the very edge of it. I don't know. You know, I flick a lot of knives open with my thumb, and this isn't one of the best ones. I think that, frankly, the old thumb studs, even though they were asymmetrical, work better than this HTR mechanism. So does a regular spidey hole, I gotta say. So, it's cold steel. What can you say? So moving along back down the handle, we got the new style thinner and less aggressively textured G10. No liners, triad lock. You know, we've looked at enough examples of the system that we don't need to really go into detail. The cold steel triad lock is the modified, improved, re-engineered lock back with a stop pin between the blade tang and the lock bar that absorbs all the load, transfers all the shock to the handle. You can make a very light knife with this mechanism and still have it be the strongest knife on the planet. The G10 is plenty strong to bear the load without the use of liners of any kind. We all know the drill. You can hang like, you know, half a ton from the back of the knife and the lock won't fail. We all know that. So I like the new smoother G10 and the slimness of the knife, very reminiscent of the Code 4. Ergonomics on the knife are good. We've got this other thumb ramp, the one on the spine, which is kind of interesting in its lack of jimping. It looks like it was just made to have some little fine Spyderco-like jimping there, but there is none. It's very slippery. The texturing back in the spine of the handle is really too far back to be usable. However, I don't think your hand's going anywhere on that handle. We have a deep finger groove. I'm pretty sure you could stab this into something as hard as you wanted and your hand would never move. So, not that it's needed, it just feels like you sort of want it. And then you move forward into this perfectly constructed forward choil. Then your thumb can sort of rest in the swale. You can handle some fine work that way. Really, really nicely done. So let's look at our grip ergos. Saber grip is locked in and perfect. If you're going to put finger grooves on a knife or cut choils in a handle, make sure they fit the hand. Benchmade Contigo, David Curtis. Make sure they fit the hand. These do. They're perfect. Hammer grip, beautiful. Forward hammer grip, beautiful. Draw cut grip. Handle feels a little thin. Might get a little uncomfortable coming across your fingers if you're really pulling on stuff hard. But, you know, it's a thin profile knife, just over 3/8 of an inch thick. Reverse grip is beautiful. If I didn't mention it, that blade stock is about 130 thousandths, just over 1/8 of an inch. Blade length's 3.5. Handle length 4 15/16. And it weighs in at 4.3 ounces. So blade to handle ratio, a little out of whack, a little extra handle, more than you'd expect on a 3.5 inch knife, but not atrocious, and it's not a heavyweight, okay? The clip configuration, a different cold steel clip. I guess they didn't want to make a curved clip on this one because with that really expensive 24 karat gold plating, supplying 2 clips would have been, you know, cost prohibitive. No, it's not. It's like yellow nickel or something. So kind of an old style, almost like an old Spyderco clip with the lanyard hole going through the middle of the clip. Not a bad idea, but it's not a deep carry knife, is it? That, you know, the screw flange takes up a whole lot of handle. I don't think that's a bad thing. It'd be easy to get out of your pocket. And it will slip in and out more easily than old school cold steel G10. Kind of like it. They also make the GoldenEye in a carbon fiber handled version, which I think is much more attractive. This green and gold thing going on, you know, unless you're a Notre Dame fan, not quite sure about. But you know, as usual with cold steel, they can make them gimmicky, silly, campy, tacky, whatever you want to say it is. But they're still just awesome cutting tools. They just are. You know, whether it's large EDC or whether it's a tactical blade, it's cool. Very, very functional tool too. By the way, how's our blade centering? Yeah, it's really good. Nothing to fault it for. I'm really trying to decide on this one. This is a customer's knife in for sharpening. I'm really trying to decide if I want one of these for my very own. If I get one, it will probably be the carbon fiber version, just because I think it's a little more attractive. But a really nice knife, guys. All in all. Thought you'd like to see one. Hope you're having a great weekend. I know I am. That's all for this one. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the Word and GoldenEye are sharp.